The massive crystal chandeliers of the Stone family manor illuminated a lavish dinner party that cost more than most people earn in an entire lifetime. Harrison Stone, a feared real estate mogul known for his ruthless business tactics, sat at the head of the mahogany table like a king holding court. He was laughing loudly at a joke made by a visiting senator, swirling his 50-year-old scotch in a crystal glass. The atmosphere was one of untouchable wealth, power, and arrogance. But the laughter died instantly when a young maid, trembling with nervousness, reached over his shoulder to refill a water glass. As she leaned forward, a heavy silver chain slipped out from under her stiff uniform collar. Dangling from it was a massive, unmistakable sapphire ring surrounded by diamonds. Before we find out how this priceless heirloom ended up around the neck of the cleaning lady and the shocking secret behind it, I have a quick question for you. Have you ever been accused of something you didn't do, simply because of who you are? Tell me a story in the comments below, and let me know which city you are watching from. If you love stories about hidden truths, justice, and redemption, hit that subscribe button right now. Join our growing family and let's uncover the secrets of the rich together. Now, let's go back to that tense dinner table. Harrison's eyes locked onto the jewelry swinging inches from his face. He stopped breathing. He recognized that stone instantly. It was unique. It was the Star of Midnight, a custom piece his father had commissioned for his mother, Eleanor, over 40 years ago. It had been missing since the day Eleanor passed away in the exclusive nursing home 3 months prior. Harrison stood up so abruptly that his heavy oak chair fell backward with a loud crash that echoed against the marble walls. The entire room went deadly silent, the sound of silverware on china ceasing immediately. "You!" Harrison shouted, his voice booming off the high ceilings. He pointed a shaking finger directly at the maid's face. "That ring is my mother's. Where did you get it?" The guests froze, forks hovering halfway to their mouths, stunned by the outburst. A woman named Clara, who had only worked there for a few weeks, gasped and instinctively clutched the ring in her hand, trying to hide it against her chest. Her face went pale with absolute terror as she realized all eyes were on her. "Sir, please, I can explain," she stammered, stepping back clumsily, nearly dropping the heavy crystal water pitcher on the floor. But Harrison wasn't in the mood to listen to explanations from a servant. He saw a thief. He saw a predator who had stolen from a dead woman. "Security." He roared toward the hallway. "Lock the doors! Call the police immediately! This woman is a criminal, and she is not leaving this house with my family heirlooms." The guests began to whisper frantically behind their napkins, their eyes wide with the thrill of the scandal. "Isn't that the famous ring that vanished?" One socialite whispered to her husband. "I heard he fired the entire nursing home staff and threatened to sue them because of it," said another. Harrison advanced on Clara, his face red with fury, cornering her against the antique sideboard. He looked ready to strike her. "Take it off," he commanded, holding out his hand, his palm open and demanding. "Take it off right now before I rip it off your neck myself. How dare you wear her jewelry? Did you steal it from her body? Did you sneak into her room while she was dying and pull it off her cold finger?" His accusations were brutal, designed to humiliate her completely before the police even arrived. Clara was crying now, heavy tears streaming down her face and soaking her white collar. She fumbled desperately with the clasp, her hand shaking too much to undo the delicate mechanism. "I didn't steal it, Mr. Stone," she sobbed, her voice barely audible over the murmurs of the crowd. "She gave it to me. She told me to keep it safe from you. She made me promise." Harrison laughed, a cruel, barking sound that made the guests flinch in their seats. "She gave it to you. My mother, who had advanced dementia. My mother, who barely knew her own name for the last year of her life. You took advantage of a sick, confused old woman. You were disgusting." He looked at her with pure hatred. "You manipulated her to get a $250,000 ring." The private security guards rushed into the dining room, grabbing Clara by the arms. They held her roughly, treating the small woman like a dangerous threat to the elite guests. Harrison stepped forward and ripped the necklace from her hand once she managed to unclasp it. He held the ring up to the chandelier light. It was definitely the one. The inscription inside read, "To Eleanor, my eternal love." Harrison felt a wave of grief mixed with blinding rage. He had spent months looking for this ring, hiring private investigators, believing it lost forever. To find it on the help was the ultimate insult to his family's legacy. "You are going to prison," he hissed at her, his face inches from hers. "I will make sure you never work again. I will destroy you for this." "Please, listen to me," Clara begged, struggling against the guard's tight grip. "There is a letter. She wrote a letter. It's in my locker in the servants' quarters. She wrote it the day before she died." Harrison sneered, shaking his head. "A forged letter, I'm sure. Or maybe you forced her to sign something she didn't understand. Criminals always have an excuse." "It's in the blue envelope." Clara screamed as the sound of police sirens began to wail in the distance, getting closer to the manor. "Please, just read it. It explains everything." "Don't let them take me without reading it." Harrison ignored her, turning to apologize to his guests for the interruption, trying to salvage the dignity of his dinner party. But the police arrived within 10 minutes. Harrison Stone had that kind of influence. 2 officers walked in, handcuffs, ready on their belts. They listened to Harrison's version of the story, the missing heirloom, the immense value, $250,000, and the maid caught red-handed wearing the stolen goods. It seemed like an open and shut case of employee theft. They cuffed Clara, who was now hyperventilating in panic. "Check her locker," she managed to wheeze out. "The blue envelope. Please." One of the officers, a younger man who felt uncomfortable with Harrison's aggression and the way the guards were holding the woman, decided to be thorough. "I'll check the locker, Mr. Stone, just to be sure. We need to collect all evidence to build the case." Harrison rolled his eyes impatiently, pouring himself another drink. "Fine. Go find her fake evidence. It won't save her from jail." The officer went downstairs to the staff quarters while Clara stood weeping in the foyer, surrounded by judging eyes. Harrison stood tall, his hand shaking slightly as he drank his scotch. He felt justified. He felt powerful. He had caught the villain who preyed on his mother. But he had no idea that the villain of this story was actually staring back at him in the mirror. 17 minutes later, the officer returned up the grand staircase. He was holding a pale blue envelope. It smelled faintly of Lavender Eleanor's favorite scent, the one she had worn for 50 years. Harrison recognized the stationery immediately. It was his mother's personal stock, custom pressed in Paris. His stomach dropped, and a cold feeling spread through his chest. "Give that to me," he demanded, reaching out with a demanding hand. The officer hesitated, holding the letter back. "It's addressed to my dearest Clara, but I think you should read it, sir. It might clarify things before we book her. It seems personal." Harrison snatched the envelope from the officer's hand. He ripped it open aggressively, tearing the expensive paper. Inside was a handwritten letter. The handwriting was shaky, characteristic of his mother's final months battling tremors, but it was undeniably hers. Harrison began to read, expecting to see nonsense scribbles or a coarse signature. Instead, he read words that felt like a knife twisting slowly in his gut. "My dearest Clara," the letter began. "If you are reading this, or if someone has found this ring on you, it means I am gone. I am writing this in my moments of clarity, because I know my time is short. I want you to have the star of midnight, not because of its value in money, but because you were the only star in my midnight." Harrison paused. His hands started to tremble uncontrollably, rattling the paper. He continued reading, his breath catching in his throat. "For the last 2 years, you were the one who brushed my hair when my hands were too weak. You were the one who held my hand when the thunder scared me. You were the one who listened to my stories about my husband when everyone else said I was repeating myself. You were my nurse," the letter continued, every word a hammer blow to Harrison's ego. "But you became my daughter. You treated me with dignity when the rest of the world had written me off as a broken antique to be stored away." Harrison felt a lump form in his throat. He looked up at Clara, confusion clouding his anger. "My biological son, Harrison, is a busy man," the letter read. Harrison felt like he couldn't breathe. The room spun. "He pays the bills. He sends expensive flowers on my birthday, but he hasn't looked me in the eye in 5 years. He visits for 10 minutes, checks his watch, and leaves. He treats me like a liability, not a mother." The words burned him like acid. "He waits for me to die so he can sell the house and close the account. He thinks love is a checkbook. He is wrong." The room was deadly silent. Harrison's face had gone from flush red to a ghostly white. The letter was an indictment of his entire life as a son. The guests, who were close enough to hear him reading under his breath, looked away in embarrassment. The truth was spilling out, and it wasn't about a stolen ring. It was about a stolen heart. Harrison felt the judgment of the room shift from the maid to him. He was the one on trial now. "Clara, you brought me cupcakes on your day off. Eleanor wrote the details, proving the depth of their bond. You sang to me when the pain was bad. You treated me like a human being. Harrison thinks he can buy love, but he is poor in spirit. I give this ring to you because you carry the spirit of the woman I used to be. Do not let him take it. The letter finished. A final command from the grave. It is my gift to the only person who truly loved me at the end. Wear it and remember me. Love, Eleanor. Harrison dropped the letter. It fluttered to the floor, landing next to his shiny Italian shoes, heavy with truth. He looked at Clara, really looked at her for the first time. He realized he didn't even know her last name. He didn't know that she had been the night nurse at the facility before taking the maid job at his house. He didn't know she had cared for his mother for 2 years while he was busy closing deals. You were her nurse, Harrison whispered, his voice cracking, all the arrogance gone. Clara nodded, tears streaming down her face. I worked the night shift at Shady Pines. Sir, your mother. She was lonely. She used to cry at night asking for you. I couldn't bear to see her in pain, so I stayed with her after my shift ended. Clara explained softly. We watched movies together. She loved old musicals. We talked about her garden. Harrison felt the weight of his guilt crushing him. Why didn't you tell me? He asked. Why did you come work here as a maid? Because I missed her, Clara said simply. After she died, I felt lost. I applied here just to be close to the things she loved. The garden, the library. I wanted to be where she had been happy before she got sick. I just wanted to be near her memory. Harrison looked at the police officer, who was watching the scene with pity. Uncuff her, he ordered, but his voice wasn't arrogant anymore. It was broken immediately. This is a mistake. The officer unlocked the handcuffs. Clara rubbed her wrists, looking down. She expected to be fired, even with the letter. Harrison walked over to her. He picked up the ring from the table where he had thrown it. He looked at the sapphire. He remembered his father giving it to his mother. He remembered his mother saying, I will give this to the person who holds my heart. He had always assumed that person would be him. He was wrong. He took Clara's hand. It was rough, calloused from hard work. He placed the ring in her palm and closed her fingers over it. It belongs to you, Harrison said, tears spilling from his eyes in front of everyone. She was right. I was a terrible son. I paid for the best care. Harrison sobbed, his composure finally shattering. But I didn't give her my care. I thought money was enough. I thought I was a good son because I paid the bills. Clara looked at the ring, then at Harrison, seeing his regret. I don't want the ring for the money, sir, Clara said gently. I wear it because it smells like her perfume. I wear it close to my heart because she is my family. That word from Ellie hit Harrison hard. This stranger was more family to his mother than her own blood. Harrison turned to the guests. The party is over, he announced quietly. Please leave. I have a lot to think about. The guests, sensing the profound shame and intimacy of the moment, filed out quickly. No one made eye contact. The illusion of Harrison's perfect life had shattered. When they were alone in the vast, empty hall, Harrison sat on the stairs, head in his hands. I didn't know she was lonely, he cried. I thought she didn't recognize me. Claire sat beside him, not as a maid, but as a comfort. She recognized you, Harrison. She just didn't recognize the man you became, but she loved you. She told me to tell you, if I ever met you, that she forgives you. Harrison looked at Clara, desperate for absolution. She said that, yes. She said, tell my son that ambition is a heavy coat. Tell him to take it off sometimes and just be Harry. Harrison broke down completely. Harry? No one had called him that in 20 years. It was the name of the boy his mother loved, not the CEO the world feared. The next day, Harrison made changes, drastic changes. He didn't fire Clara. He promoted her. He made her the manager of his household. But more than that, he made her his conscience. He asked her to tell him every story about his mother that he had missed while he was busy making millions. He learned about his mother's favorite songs. He learned about her fear of the dark. He learned about the jokes she told Clara. Every story was a treasure he had thrown away, retrieved by this woman. Harrison realized that Clara hadn't stolen the ring. She had saved his mother's memory. Harrison also changed his business approach. He started visiting the nursing homes he funded. He stopped looking at spreadsheets and started looking at faces. He realized that many of the residents were just like his mother, abandoned by wealthy children who thought a check was a substitute for a visit. He launched the Eleanor Project. It was a program that paid for companions for elderly people who had no visitors. He hired people like Clara people with empathy, patience, and love to simply sit, talk, and hold hands. He wanted to ensure no one else felt the midnight loneliness his mother had felt. Clara kept the ring. She wore it every day as a reminder of the bond she shared with Eleanor. But she didn't keep it forever. Years later, when she got married, Harrison walked her down the aisle. She gave the ring to her own daughter. She told her the story not of the value of the diamond, but the value of the letter. This story is a brutal reminder of what we prioritize in life. Harrison chased the world and lost his mother. Clara chased nothing but kindness and gained a legacy. We often think that our parents will be there forever. We think we can make time later, but time runs out. So the next time you feel too busy to call your parents or too tired to visit your grandparents, remember the blue envelope. Remember that they are writing the final chapters of their lives right now. Do you want to be the hero of that chapter or the ghost? If this story touched your soul, please hit the like button. Let's spread the message that love is an action, not a transaction. Comment time is precious down below. If you are going to call someone you love today, share this video with your family. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.